Shanahan from the band Ryatt. He's been known to put a guitar together too. You may know him from certain hang tags you may have seen. He's also been known to mess around with some photography and stuff as well. I've seen all kinds of stuff across social media. How you doing, man?
Doing awesome. I'm great. I was right before I logged in. I've been playing my guitar for about, I don't know, like for 2 hours because we're getting ready to do a couple shows coming up, and we have a tour coming up again.
Nice.
Yeah. So I haven't touched my guitars. Like I said, I think I did that Facebook Live like a couple days ago, and it's been like almost a month since I played my guitars, really technically. So
wow.
Yeah. So it was nice to take a little break because I've been playing guitar for a long time, and then doing the whole tour thing and writing music with Ryatt.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's been just nonstop back for a couple years.
Sure.
So
oh yeah.
So it was nice to take a break, and then just to focus on my other things I got going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like I don't know if you do it every tour, but the last tour that you were on there, interactive on social media, and it wasn't just like, hey, we're playing here at this time, hope to see you there. You were like out enjoying the cities and the food and what have you, and you would go live on live on Facebook. I remember when I happened to catch it, I had some downtime at work, and I'm like, hey, this is cool.
Yeah, that's the beauty of internet, and social media. Because back in the day, in the 80s and in the 90s, like we didn't have this technology. So if you were to go, go fly somewhere, you really wouldn't know what was going on unless you saw it like in a magazine or you saw it the bands on TV, and we have it here in our fingertips.
Like I used to always love that, like music videos that would do a bit of the behind the scenes, like bands on their first time in the UK. So you see them in front of the Tower of London and stuff, kind of doing a selfie essentially. Yes. And then they shows them getting ready for their gig or whatever, playing Donington or something like that. So
yeah,
love that stuff.
That stuff's awesome. I'm mentioning that. I just got news that on Charles Wiley, which is a drummer, for Ryatt. He plays drums for a living, of course. I don't know if you knew that, but he got this offer to play for this band. It's like a working gig, for him to go play drums in Germany just today. He just found out today.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and he's on tour right now. I'm not sure where he's at now, but he's still out there in the Midwest, or he's heading back in the next few days. But he was so funny because he texted us. He was like, guys, I'm so sorry. I apologize. And we're like, what's up, man? What happened? He goes, I got this gig offer to go, to Germany for 3 to 4 weeks for this band that needs help with the drummer or something like that. And I'm like, go do it, and it's okay because he's leaving either before the 9th of September or it's the day after this show we have in September.
Okay.
So we had a show that was booked for that Friday or Saturday or something.
Wow.
He's leaving. So, but he's such a good guy, he didn't want us to miss out, on the gig,
sure.
But at the same time, that's what's bringing money and food to the table.
Yeah, we get it. Those who get it, right?
Oh yeah. So yeah. So speaking of Europe, he's going. Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
See, wow, the chat is just flying here. I'm just gonna do a little roll call here. Let's see. Scroll up to the top. We got Absolute Mayhem. He says first. We got ET5150. We got Jason Wade. We've got Fender Guru tuning in from New Zealand. Oh. Hey, Andrew. Michael Bishop. JJ's House of Jams. Jay. Brother. Adam EVH, Dan Sullivan, David Ennis, R2R3 Locking Nut, Mitch Heyman, Sandy Tamura, JJ Collins. Wow. Awesome. Tons of people. There's the captain himself, Michael Smith.
What's up, Mike? Adam? All you guys. That's awesome to see you guys on.
Yeah, Jim Guidry. Marsman, man, they're all just jumping in. Terry, Broken Chains. Oh, wow. Dry Heat 480. Johnny Beane.
Johnny, what's up, Johnny? Everybody, that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. Welcome. Yeah. We got 29 people watching. Wow. Awesome.
Wow.
And somebody says, hey, Amanda. So I think I may have missed my sister's in here as well.
Oh. Hi, Amanda. Hi.
Awesome. Awesome. And she'd be the one non-musician in the chat, but she's a huge supporter, and she's hooked on like watching YouTube Gear Talk and Johnny Beane. She loves it because she learns stuff, and even if it gets too technical, she can hear the passion.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
what
it's all about, man. You don't have to do this or that, or just as long as you're into music,
Exactly. Awesome stuff. So let's see here. So what got you into playing initially?
When I got started playing guitar, I mean, it goes way back to, like the early 80s. Actually, I used to go watch my dad play in his band. He was a singer in a R&B cover band.
Right on.
Yeah, and it was so cool because I remember when he would take me to his practices, I didn't really like sitting there, just listening to music. I mean, I like being with my dad, and hanging out, but to watch him play, I thought it was cool because I remember the guitar player played this really nice Les Paul, which I didn't know, that it was Les Paul, but now I think about it from as I get older, it was beautiful. It was gold. It was a gold top Les Paul.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I was like, and I thought that was cool, and I, so my dad, when he was doing his band thing, he saw that I was really starting to get into rock stuff, and then he bought me the Kiss Alive 2.
Nice.
Yes, that was the first album that I heard live, loud guitar and drums and all that cool stuff. And I still didn't want to play guitar yet, which was amazing. I didn't really start playing guitar till it was 82, and my dad bought me it was Ozzy Osbourne, Diary of a Madman. And when I heard that guitar, I was like, what the heck? And I heard Van Halen too. And
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was into Van Halen. A matter of fact, I think I talked about this before. My dad, when he was playing at the Chino prison here in Southern California, in Chino, there's a prison out there where they used to do these shows, and the guitar player was playing Van Halen, Eruption, and I'll never forget that sound. Yes, they were like in this gym or something, and it was like that live guitar loud, shredding.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that didn't sound anything like Kiss. I mean, Kiss was loud and then, Ace Frehley,
sure,
and all that stuff. But just to hear that sound, I was like, wow, who is this?
Right.
And my dad goes, that's Van Halen. He's like up and coming guitar player like that. I'm like, man, I want to play like that, and then soon after that, when I was racing BMX, I had like the Walkman, the headphone thing.
Yep.
Right before my races, I would listen to Van Halen, and I would listen to Diary of a Madman, Ozzy, AC/DC, and certain songs would actually cue me in to psych me up to race,
sure,
to win.
Yeah.
So when I was getting into that and I was racing like that and listening to those guys play, it was in 83, 82 or 83. That's when I told my parents I wanted to play guitar seriously.
Nice.
And then they got me my first guitar. It was some weird Strat. It wasn't a Fender, but it was like like a mock-up. But so I drove them nuts playing that through like a Fender old Tweed amp.
Right.
With no distortion. It was just gnarly loud.
Yeah.
So and then I heard some Jimi Hendrix. And then that was in 83. And then that's when I started to hear all these shredders start coming out and all that stuff.
Right.
And my buddy, Howard, he was a bouncer, big guy, football player. He used to work at this theater, and they would have bands come through there. And I remember seeing it was Black Oak, Arkansas. Jim Dandy was singer for that.
Yep.
I saw them. I saw Ryatt. I saw a lot of bands that come through there, and one of the bands that really stood out to me, to really make me play guitar even more, was Alcatraz. And,
Okay.
yeah, and it was see, Malmsteen he was in the band, but they didn't say anything about him quitting the band. So we were all psyched and you're ready to see Malmsteen, and I was there for sound check, and I see this guy upstairs, sound checking the Alcatraz stuff, and I'm like, is this his tech?
Right.
Malmsteen tech, checking out his guitar, and I'm like, well, that's not his Strat or whatever guitar he was playing at the time, and it was this guy with black hair, tall. I'm like, who the heck is this?
Yeah.
So he did the sound check, and then we're sitting there and we're just waiting for them to start, and the band comes on stage, and the same guy comes back on stage, and it's not Malmsteen, and everyone's booing like woo, and throwing stuff, and,
right.
And I'm watching stuff fly over me because I was there first, because I had the hookup, and this guy comes out, he's shredded, he does everything exactly like Malmsteen.
Yeah.
And it was Steve Vai. So that was my first time seeing Steve Vai, and he inspired me to be that type of shredder even more, like the Crazy Arpeggios and the Attack. I mean, Rhodes had the Attack, but I never seen him play live, and I've only heard him, and I
sure.
But to see it right there in my face, it was pretty incredible. And to fast forward to 25 years later, Steve Vai plays at the Fox Theater right down the street from my apartment here, and I got free tickets to go thanks to a good friend of mine, promoter. He hooked me up with the tickets to get there, and when we're sitting there watching Steve Vai, and Tony McAlpine was there and all that, he opened for him. Steve Vai talks about that show when he played back in 1983 or 84 it was.
Wow.
And I was screaming. I was there. I was screaming on top of my lungs, and he looks at me, he goes, "You were there?" I'm like, "Yeah." But it was cool. I mean, I think he was saying, like, you were there to the whole crowd that was up front, because there was a lot of guys that were there at that particular show.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, Steve Vai and Warren DeMartini, Carlos Gavazzo, Oz Fox from Striper, see, a lot of guitar players. Can't think of the top of my head because I'm on the spot.
Yeah, of course. I know the feeling. My sister says she loves watching you play as well as listen. Your hands move so fast they go blurry.
Oh, thank you. I'm just cruising. It's that's a frame rate for from the video being slowed down.
Yeah. And
thank you.
Hello to Ryatt. You made it, and we got Caleb Rapoport here.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
He says, "Hey, Sean blinded me with Silas."
Caleb, that's awesome. Thank you, Caleb. And Caleb he's an amazing shredder. I mean, all you guys are like incredible guitar players, and it's a true honor to sit here and tell you guys my story on how I started and what I'm doing.
Sure. Well, and that was like you say, I've been following you on social media for a while, and the ego isn't there, and we're all just guitar players. It's just and I say a lot of us, it's just happenstance of life that some of us get further, if you want to call it that, but for most of us, we're just happy to play.
Yeah.
And we're all a bunch of gear nerds anyway, so.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I love gear. I mean, I've seen a lot of it since back in the day,
Sure.
So
Well, I can kind of relate. I grew up, or my sister as well. We grew up with my dad playing in a band, so
Yeah.
always around it, and discovering stuff that I was turned off in the '80s because my dad, being of the age where, like nowadays people are embarrassed because they have the Epiphone Les Paul instead of the Gibson. My dad was embarrassed because he had a CBS era telly and not a pre-CBS.
Uh,
And that's how times change, right?
yeah, it's like it's no big deal. I mean, I played them all. Yeah, I mean, especially playing. I mean, working at Fender. I've played a lot of their top of the line expensive guitars and all that. And it's not just the guitar. It's all about the person that's playing it. You know,
Sure.
I mean, I love playing my Korean guitars, and I even have actually I don't think I have like a Mexico guitar here, but I do. I definitely have two Koreans over there that I just love to
Sure.
death. But it's not all about. I mean, it's cool if you have the money to go and buy those expensive guitars.
I agree. And well, and the guitars nowadays are way more consistent.
Yes.
Like we were talking about that last night because like I own a couple of CBS era Telecasters. My bass player plays a 74P bass, and it's known as the 50-50 bass, where literally half the ones came out the door were either junk or absolute gold, and it was one or the other it seemed. And he definitely has one of the good ones.
That's amazing. It's a trip how companies go through like that phase where it's bad or it's good.
Yeah.
And I could give that to Fender. They've been struggling to get that quality to where it's good all the way across the board.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But then, if you get it too consistent, then where's the human element, right? Because at some point, somebody's hands are on it. At some point, a CNC machine can only do so much.
I agree. I totally agree with you on that, man.
And it's Absolute Mayhem says, "What is the guitar or gear you wish you still had?"
Oh my gosh, the guitar would probably be the Ibanez Roadstar. That was my first real guitar as far as expensive and nice, and my mom, she took her money, her hard-earned money, and I mean, she was like a single parent at the time, and she went and bought me that guitar,
right.
And that's the guitar I wish I would have kept.
Sure. I think that makes complete sense to me. On one hand, I don't have the original guitars I bought back in the day. We all wish, but fortunately for me, when my dad quit playing, he gave me his gear, so that more than replaces it. Because that's what I grew up watching, what inspired me to pick it up in the first place. It's like, in many ways, we see, the iconic poster of Ace Frehley playing with his Les Paul on fire, Eddie smiling, tapping away on Frankenstein. Well, we're not going to own those guitars, but for me, at least, one of my heroes, I got the guitar. So,
one of my dreams is to have the different replicas of my heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Concorde, the Rhodes Concorde.
Sure.
Yeah, Eddie's Frankenstein. On Jakey Lee's Strat, the Charvel.
Right.
Who else? Ace Frehley's the 3 humbucker, like you mentioned.
Yeah. The 3 Cream DiMarzios.
Yes. Peter Frampton, his guitar from that famous era. On the Beatles, on George Harrison, his guitar, the Gretsch I think it was a Gretsch.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Pete Townsend. I mean, I could go on. I mean, I could have. This is probably like $100,000 worth.
Oh yeah, I know. Like for me, I want a black 2 pickup Les Paul custom with cream pickups and a Kaler like Steve Clark had.
Oh
Even though I don't, I don't want the hassle of a Kaler trim system, but that's what he used. So, that's definitely on my list.
That's one of the things I've always wanted to talk to Phil about, Phil Collin, about Steve, about his time and all that, his guitars and all that stuff that they went through, but I never got a chance to when I was there with them. I mean, just that look that Steve Clark had with those guitars that he played.
Yeah. The iconic guitar player. The best quote I ever heard was, he wore, what was it? He was impossibly skinny and he wore his guitar impossibly low.
Yes, as far as he could go.
Yeah. Like
Joe Perry.
Yeah, like unless he was wearing studded knee pads, there was no buckle rash on the back of those guitars.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah, and amp wise, I'm trying to think of amps. I love my Randall amps. George Lynch, I forgot to mention about George. I mean, George played a big part of my style too. And when I heard on the album, it was Tooth and Nail when I came out, and they had the videos on Tooth and Nail, or was it on Just Got Lucky? I mean, just that sound that he had, and then I heard that he hated that sound. He hated the sound of the solid state Randalls,
right?
But I love that it had bite to it.
Yep.
And I own 2 of those heads actually. So if I could own those again,
sure,
that would be nice.
Broken Chains has a question for you. It says, Sean, can you go back to 1987 and tell us about the Holy Right Band and how it was to experience the scene at the time? Wow, somebody's going back.
Wow, that's awesome. That's you know what? I have to give that era props for me being the guitar player that I am now. That was great times for me. I was young. I was like 17, 18 at the time, and that band got signed to a label. The album wasn't that good as far as the sound wise, but as far as the artist goes that were playing it, I mean, it was cool, and I mean that was the band that spawned Iron Wrath, which was like a Queensryche style type band,
Okay.
Yeah. And Holy
That
Wrath
actually rings a bell. Yes.
Yeah, we've yes, that was a band that I really enjoyed playing. I mean, the 4 of us, well, it was, Holy Wright was a 5-piece. So the 4 of us, me, Steve, and Randy and Chris, we left Keith, the singer, and started the Iron Wrath thing. And that's what led into that whole concept style that I started getting into, and it really changed my way of thinking and writing, but yeah, Holy Right was cool. It was fun. Like, we're all glam, and we played the Strip in Hollywood a lot, and yeah.
I can say, as a guy who's a few years, literally just a few years younger from you, living in small town Ontario in Canada, just reading in Hip Parader and Circus, the Strip and the legend of it, right? And hearing about all these, they would always have like who to watch bands and stuff, and you never know, they may have made an album, they might not have, but it was so many things. It was week to week, month to month, it seemed.
Yeah, that was
and everyone trying to one up, it seemed.
Yeah, everybody went up at the same time in a sense. I mean, some of them went out to go out there to be superstars, tour the world and all that, but the Hollywood scene, Sunset was amazing, because I remember when we would just go out there on a Tuesday night, and it would be like on a Friday or Saturday night. I mean, it was like big hair and the girls, and the look, and you could hear the bands coming out of the clubs in there, and it was just a scene, and I don't know if that exists anymore. I've been there a lot. I don't really. It's not the same.
No.
It's not the same. So.
Yeah. Well, you almost have to have that hub, right, of half a dozen spots, whether they're clubs. You'll have a Greasy Spoon diner where you're going to go out to afterwards. You got to have the whole infrastructure. You got Tower Records to go hang out. It's all of it.
Yes. And Denny's, that was right down the street. That was the place to hang out. And there was places, I was talking to Rob about it. Rob Cruz, the singer from Ryatt, he came from the same time era as well. And every time that we'd go down there to see some bands, we were like, I remember that place. I remember that. I remember when I was going hang out there. And I'm like, I forgot about that place. He goes, oh yeah, this place was like, this was the bomb right here. I'm like, I mean, because I was doing so much stuff, like in other different places, I would miss spots that he was mentioning.
Yep.
So great time.
Oh sure. Dry Heat says Spandex and Aquanet. Yep.
Yeah. Yes, Holy Wright was the king of Aquanet. That was.
Yeah. Who had bigger hair, the men or the ladies, right?
Yeah. I've been wanting to show my son like that, like that era, and I know he would trip on it because he's never seen that before yet.
Right.
He's never. I mean, I got to show him that. That's pretty cool.
I remember, listening to a lot of that stuff, and a lot of it, was just a lot of high gain rock and roll, a lot of rockabilly licks, but you're playing it through a Marshall stack with your DiMarzio super distortion in the bridge of your 70s Les Paul or something, and I remember playing this stuff with my dad, and he's just like, these bands would probably go somewhere if they turned the gain down on their amps.
Your dad is right,
But this is a guy who would play, he played a Telecaster through a Fender Twin at stage volume. Like and no pedals. Just, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
No hiding there.
I mean, you're out front. Anything that comes out, that's what's going to happen.
Yep. Yeah, he was a side man, harmony singing, rhythm on a telly, some occasional lead vocals, and then the lead player, because they were outlaw country, in the early through mid '80s. So the lead player would use a little chorus or flange once in a while, and the bass player played an Ibanez bass through, I believe, like a PV solid state amp.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sound. No hiding.
That's awesome. That's and PV was the big thing at that time, the 70s.
Oh yeah.
And 80s.
Oh, especially around here, because it was so much country around here, and we had a fairly large PV dealer. So yeah, every backline was just PV. Everything, the steel guitar player, even the fiddle player would be playing through a Bandit 112.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I was gonna tell you that my dad, when he moved to Mississippi, he wasn't too far, from PV.
Okay.
Yeah, and he took me to the factory and all that.
Oh
stuff.
wow.
That was cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Michael Smith says he lived at Tower Records in the Village in Manhattan.
Oh yeah, the hot spot.
Yeah. Mayhem asks, Sean, we all love the rock and metal of the 70s and 80s, but are there any new bands you're into or inspired by?
New bands, yeah. Man, I'm like all over the map, with that. But lately for the last 20 years, I would say Alice in Chains, Korn, as far as the rock thing goes, and Seven Dust. Seven Dust they play a big part actually.
Mm-hmm.
They inspired me to, like, when they first came out, they did the Woodstock thing, and then they hit it off there, and all through like the early 2000s, that's all I listened to. And we had, when I was in Hour 11, we had an opportunity to open up for Seven Dust, and that was a blessing,
Sure.
Because I was pretty much raised up with them as far as like that era.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I had a chance, you know, to meet them, and I would say that it's Seven Dust, Korn, uh, Orgy, which is like sci-fi death metal, not death metal, but goth,
Okay.
the science fiction type metal, uh, electronic, which you know, brings me into like the Rom Zombie thing. You know, I was in into White Zombie and the Ministry band. I was into them like through the '90s,
Mm-hmm.
along with Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots and Alice in Chains. Uh, but I like, you know, like in that time, I didn't really like write music like that style of music because I was more, you listen to Dream Theater as far as like the shredding thing goes.
Right.
So I was bouncing all over the place. But then when I started to get into special effects, and I was working at Knott's Berry Farm, like a lot of the techs there, that they were into dance music, so I started getting into that. And then
Sure.
I heard like a Rob Zombie do his techno dance metal thing. I was like, man, that's what I want to do. So I got into that, you know.
Sure. I remember when that hit. I was thinking to myself, like, as a heavy guitar player, oh, this could be the future here. You know, a hybrid, and hey, we still get to hang on to our six strings.
Totally. Yeah, we totally hung out through that whole thing, you know, because the drummers were being somewhat like replaced by
Mm-hmm.
you know, the drum machine thing. But you know, I mean, you can never replace a drummer like that because because I learned to mix the two together as far as the electronic drums and the drummer, like the live drums.
Sure.
And I found out that's what a lot of the bands were starting to do. You know,
Okay.
so but as far as the guitar goes, you can't really. I mean, it sounds really you kind of cheesy, like on the keyboard to play the guitar at the keyboard.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
but you can play the live player along with the keyboard thing, and that's pretty cool.
Sure. And I want to say hey to JC Smith. He says, howdy, folks. Just popping in for a bit. Got to hit the sheet soon. Thanks for coming on, Sean.
Oh, thank you for
And
having
hello
me.
to Citizen Kane as well. Awesome.
Hello.
Yeah, guys, if you guys have any questions, you know, definitely ask away.
Yes.
Excuse me. But yeah, I was thinking too, with you out on the road too, you'll see a lot of younger bands too opening for you, right? And stuff like that at, you know, these clubs and stuff. Like up until a couple of years ago, I was doing the original music thing,
Mhm.
and a lot of times we got booked as the headliner at a club in downtown Toronto because we're all middle-aged guys, you know, and they're looking like you got three bands of like teenagers, early 20-year-olds, and then they're like, well, these guys must be great because they're twice the age, so we'll put them on last. And we're like, we'd rather go on at 9:30 so we can get back on the highway to go home to bed.
Yeah. That's so funny. That's how we are too. You know, when we were on that last tour, they booked us with some younger bands, and it was so awesome to watch them play and see them so, you know, hungry to play. And then when they had us play as like as as headliners, you know, I was tired. You know, I was ready to go back in the van, you know, and
Oh,
get back to the
sure.
hotel, you know, go to bed.
Yep.
These guys want to hang out and stuff and party, you know, which was kind of cool. I kind of hung out with a couple of them and we did that, but you know, but but yeah, like these young guys, you know, they're just like so much energy, you know, and they're like
Yeah.
guitars everywhere. And, I mean, just like what we did back in the day. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Oh, I saw a young band play a couple of months ago. They were opening up for some buddies of mine. And there was a couple of songs, and I'm hearing a groove in it that I hadn't heard in literally 30 years of recorded music. And I was just like, this guy is a big influence. Like, I could tell he was hugely influenced by Mick Mars. Like,
wow.
they just had this Motley Crue groove to them at times. And it was, you know, little tidbits in various songs. You know, might be the bridge of one song, the chorus hook of another.
Yeah.
And I walked up, and I'm watching him, and he's playing through a Rain to Lamp, and he's playing a BC Rich.
Wow.
And so I walk up to this kid, and I say kid because I said to him, hey, man, I said, how old are you? And he says, 22. I said, okay, I have to ask, how do you even know about BC Rich and Randall, first of all? You know, and I'm not even getting to the music. And he said, he looked at me and went, YouTube.
Wow.
And he was watching old videos, and he came, and I said, let me guess, Motley Crue's an influence. He says, how can you tell? And I said, I could hear the hooks. He says, yeah, he discovered Motley Crue on YouTube and just fell in love with the whole Motley Crue scene, thing.
That's the way the future is YouTube.
Yeah.
That's
so true.
That, I mean, yeah, hands down, to that, because I was hoping that stuff like that would happen. If we don't teach our kids that, then even the ones that don't have that type of teaching as far as the music goes of that era, it's nice to have that stuff on social media and on YouTube and all that stuff, because that keeps that music alive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a cousin, Stephen Moore. I'm going to be doing some stuff with him, and he's I think he's 25, 26, but my cousin, his dad, was in a pretty known band back in the 80s, and he knows music really, really well. And he took his son, Stephen Jr., and brought him up, like in the music, and he's like a phenomenal producer.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's nice to see parents take their kids, if the kids want to be into that,
Mm-hmm.
and do it, but I try to start with my son when he was in the womb, when his mom would come to my shows, and
yeah.
So
yeah, I think I was 3 months old when I was at my first music festival. So
see,
yeah, my parents worked as volunteers at a big folk festival in Toronto, and so it was one of those. I came into the world in May, and the festival I think was in the end of July or something, and they're like, "Well, we're taking the kid."
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's how you do it.
That was the 70s, right?
Yeah.
And no ear defenders on the kid or anything like that. Just
see, that's how it's done.
See, Jason Wade says, Ben, thanks for the live stream. You're welcome, Jason. He says, Sean, what is your favorite song to play on guitar that just takes you to that place?
That's a good question. Which era?
Yeah, we need a follow-up, Jason.
You know what? See, the one that pops to mind that I love playing, and I haven't played it in a while, is Dream Theater. Pull Me Under. Those solo and the whole thing, because that was the band when it came out, like in the early 90s. I mean, like, that was my savior as far as, okay, the 80s are gone,
mm-hmm.
And the whole shredding thing is there, but it's not how it was,
Yeah.
I need something, because I've heard of grunge and I didn't really understand it, until later. But I needed something to feed to the shredding,
Right.
And it was Dream Theater and Pull Me Under, and the album off of, the songs off of Awake from Dream Theater.
Nice. I always thought Dream Theater got a bit of a pass at that time in the early 90s. Like, say, the grunge thing was happening. I remember if you got caught wearing a Poison t-shirt, you were spit on probably. But Dream Theater was kind of seen as like the new Rush on the scene in many ways. So people went, oh, well, Rush has their own thing anyways. So, yeah, we'll put them over there with Rush and stuff and, next level stuff for sure.
And so those guys right there, I mean, like Awake and Pull Me Under, like that song. And but the one that really just stands out just now, that just popped in my head, was Tony McAlpine, Porcelain Doll.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I haven't heard that. And wow, that takes me back.
Yes.
Okay.
And just the way how he's playing it is so like emotional, and the way how he's just,
mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I have to learn that again, because I knew it back in the day, but I've forgotten it. I wouldn't even attempt to play
there it now. Citizen Kane says there's some serious guitar mojo going on behind Ben and Sean. Well, I don't know. You're just talking the guitars, because if we're talking us ourselves, it's all him. I'm just a little. So
I see your Kramer, right? That's a Kramer. That's a red Kramer.
Yeah, That's my latest acquisition. I picked this up at Sweetwater's Gear Fest. They had a tent going on with like a flea market with used guitars. And as Steve Andersen, a friend of ours, said, Ben Coombs is the only guy that shows up at a 2018 guitar show and walks out with a 1985 Kramer. So an 85 Kramer Focus 6000. And I totally blame the whole Johnny Beane world because I was happy playing my Telecasters for years. And I was like, I'd never own a Floyd Rose guitar. And then, you know, talking Eddie talk all the time. And I was like, all right, I got to get one. And then I found it and it plays amazing. And then I brought it back to the hotel, went live, and all the fine folks in the chat told me what I actually had. They're like, you know, that's got a German Floyd. I'm like, you say so, sure. Awesome. And I've literally, that's been my #1 gigging guitar since. Wow. And I'm playing like the Beatles on it, Tom Petty, Traveling Wilburys. Yeah. You know, with the coil tap. I can't believe the chameleon of tones you can get out of those things.
Yeah, that's a very, versatile guitar right there.
Yeah.
I noticed it over here.
Yeah. I noticed, yeah. Let's see. Caleb has a question for you. Let's see. This question, do you prefer the USA Wolfgangs you assembled from 2008 through 11 to the ones in the last few years, or is there no difference? I've switched my fawning from the Stealth to that original built by Sean.
Okay, what was the last part?
He switched his fawning from the gray Stealth to the original cream. Okay. And he says, or is there just no difference between the ones that you built and the newer ones?
Okay. You know what? Okay. I really honestly, truly believe me as a guitar player is that it's all about the setup. I mean, like you have the wood, you have all that stuff, the electronics and all that stuff, of course, to get certain sounds, but if the guitar is set up nicely and the frets are done nice, and there's no buzzing, I mean you can have like a little bit of buzz, but I mean as far as it not choking and all that stuff, and you like it and you love it, I mean just run with that. I mean you have to have those real expensive guitars unless that's what you want and that's what you want to have, and that's cool. As far as the Wolfgangs go, I mean I've set up, built, I mean, I forgot. Okay, when I was like the last time I was there, it was January, and I think the last one I built was number 7,000 or something. And there was only 2 of us that would set them up and build them. I mean, well, through the years, so I would say that I would say that I built half of them. Let's just say that, and I had a chance to see what like the difference is because they all didn't play the same. Like they all played pretty cool and awesome, but some of them would play or have a different feel than like the one that's right next to it that's the same exact guitar, so if it was up to me, it doesn't matter with me. I mean I would have either like the USA or I would have the Mexican or I think the Koreans too.
Sure.
And I would probably hot rod it. I would put the FU tone parts on it, of course. Sure. But my favorite Wolfgang, it was the Stealth.
Okay.
With ebony, fretboard, and I mean, it was just something about. I mean, like that guitar has some serious mojo.
Nice.
Pick that thing up and just like shred on it, not even think about playing. I mean, it just felt awesome.
Right.
So,
and speaking of FU tone, I installed my first D-tuna on the Kramer last week.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes. And it came in very handy because we covered David Bowie's Heroes, and we actually do it similar to Motorhead used to cover it. And so we play it in. We play it. So the 2 main chords is D and G. So I play it in drop D for your 2 bass notes, then fret at the 7th fret for your middle 2 strings, 10th fret for the bottom 2, and I get that huge. It sounds like 2 octave sweep of sound with high gain. It's just this wall of sound, and and that D-tune is awfully handy.
yeah, I don't have. Well, I have my parts for my, for my guitars. I would like to put one like on this one here. This one here, the WRC.
Ooh, nice.
Wayne Charvel and Bernie from BC Rich and Eric Coletta. I think that's how you say his last name. Awesome guys. I love those guys. I mean, but this guitar here, it has like the original foil on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does. I think. No. It's a Kaler.
Oh, really?
Yes. Check on that. I had this. I mean, this guitar has some history behind it. It's licensed by Floyd, of course. But anyways, I want to put the tune on this, but I need to get that block.
Right.
So I pull it out, it doesn't go sharp.
Right.
But yeah, this guitar is like the Iron Wrath era.
Nice.
From 94 or 95, probably 94 to 97. And Todd Keltner, he was a roadie for us for Holy Right and for Iron Wrath. He used to work for Wayne Charvel at that time. And he told me about these guitars. I think it's called the Nimbus or something like that. Okay. It's based off the ocean gods or whatever.
Okay.
Because this is made out of real shells.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see that.
Here, I'm going to present that, actually. Let all the fine folks get a good look at that. There we go. Wow. Look at that, guys. Crazy.
I think it's tiger shells, abalone or something like that. I don't know anything about the ocean like that, but
it's amazing.
And it has the WRC. It's 24 fret.
Nice access.
Yes, and pretty cool. And so Todd let me play it for the Iron Wrath thing. And he goes, "It's your guitar, but if the band breaks up, you have to give it back." I'm like, "Okay, no problem." So I went ahead. It didn't have these type of pickups in it. It had just regular Seymour Duncan pickups. When he told me I could have it, and I go, "Todd, is it cool if I could put some actives in there?" He goes, "Oh, absolutely. Just do whatever you want with it. It's cool." So that's when I put these in there. These EMGs, and that was in, I think it was 95. So fast forward to present day, 2 years ago, almost like a year ago, I catch up with Todd, and he goes, "Sean, I had this guitar in storage, and I want you to have it." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, and because you're playing a lot, and I want you to use it like in Ryatt, or if you do it, use it in Iron Wrath." I go, "Oh, by the way, the Iron Wrath thing is back. We had some guys that wanted us to bring that back, and me and Chris, which is drummer, we're going to bring back that music and
cool.
Yeah, do it like all the modern day with the same sound from back then." And
nice.
He goes, "Yes, that's perfect, man. It's perfect timing." I'm like, "Yeah, I will use it for that." So
perfect.
So yeah, so that's how I got it back, and but yeah, back to the tuna. I'm gonna put it on this.
And there you go for your longtime Sean Silas fans. Breaking news. What's old is new again. And Michael Smith asks, what is the best live show you have ever been to so far? And what band do you wish you had seen that's no longer around?
Okay. The best live show, I would say, is Def Leppard and Heart. I saw them out here in Irvine, and I'm not trying to be biased because of Phil, but I couldn't believe the sound that was coming out of that PA system with Def Leppard.
Right.
And it was so freaking clean. It was like it was like watching a 4K movie compared to a DVD, type movie.
Right.
As far as how you see it, but sound wise,
Yeah.
and
oh, they've always been real sticklers, I think, since basically the Hysteria tour when they did that center stage, and they were kind of the first to do that. They were always very much about production. Like, it's got to sound good, it's got to look good.
Yes, and it's funny because I was talking to Phil about it. I was like, man, like what are you playing through now? He goes, I've been playing through the same thing since like the mid '90s, which is his Marshall power amps and his preamp. My gosh, his preamp 80A or something like that. It was old stuff. And
Was
then,
it maybe some old TC Electronics? Because I remember they were using that stuff like original way back when.
Yeah, it was all like the original stuff.
Yeah, like the TC Electron. I remember them using even like a TC Electronics multi effect, like a Helix is today, that everyone's going gaga over, but it was all rack mounted in the '90s, and yeah, they were all doing that stuff.
Yeah, and he goes, that's how I get my tone. And he just recently, I guess in the last few years, he went not Kemper, but it's the other one, the other expensive
Axe Effects.
Thank you. Yeah, so he had his tech get everything close to what his sound is from Ben, because it's more like reliable and it's
right
and all that stuff. But yeah, I would say on Def Leppard and Heart, is probably the best sounding band I've heard. I mean, I've seen like bands like Korn and Rob Zombie, and Korn I would say is probably the most heaviest sound I've felt as far as having the breath taken away consistently,
well, they did inspire a generation to buy 7-strings after Steve Vai did.
Yes,
it was weird because it was weird. I swear overnight, like I could have swore back in the day, like Steve Vai started playing a 7-string to get an extra higher string, not a lower string. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, you tuned down to B," and I'm like, "No, you're supposed to put a high A string, not a low B string." But
yeah,
okay, yeah, it's amazing how it's changed that way.
It's amazing. And let's see, what was the last question on that?
A band that you would have loved to have seen that's no longer around.
Randy Rhoads with Ozzy. It would be him, and Freddie Mercury, Queen was another one. Let's see, Static X, Wayne Static. I know he's kind of newer stuff, but I mean,
sure.
Like at the time when I was really trying to find something else to do with my guitar, I loved the way Static X sounded at that time. I wish I could see him now. Kurt Cobain from Nirvana, he's one for sure. Chris Cornell, I missed him so many freaking times to see him.
I was fortunate enough to see them on their Bad Motorfinger tour.
Wow.
As part of it was Blues Traveler, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and they were opening for Neil Young, and Neil Young's backing band was Booker T and the MGs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there was about 60,000 of us at that show. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Something that you don't want to miss.
No.
Too, and B.B. King and Jimi Hendrix.
Sure.
Dennis Joplin. Dang. But yeah, we can sit here for a bit.
That's true. That's true. My sister asked, did you ever go through a period where you felt you'd hit a plateau or just put the guitar down for a while?
Yes, actually, I would say most recently as far as writing goes, because okay, when I was doing stuff with Hellenbach, which was like the 90s, like the late 90s, they were like a goth metal band, and Stench, they were more like you know, on POD. Dang it, I couldn't remember
Okay.
the name. POD. Like, okay, like that era, I was like putting my whole, life into programming. Like,
Mm-hmm.
music, just focusing on the computer and showing the music to the guys in the band, and they're like, oh, cool, okay. A Sevenfold Image was like that as well, and Hour 11 was like the last band to where I wrote all the music, on my computer, and that I would say that was the band that burnt me out as far as, okay, I need to take a break from writing on the freaking computer.
Right.
And go back to my roots. And that's when Ryatt came around, and Ryatt, writes like how we wrote back in the day, you writing together as a band.
Sure.
So, but anyways, I stuck with that, and I didn't really have to focus too much on writing, and as far as the computer goes, I needed a break. So I haven't touched my computer as far as writing in music for about 6 months, which is weird because that's all I did from 1993 all the way up to 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I have a whole. This is funny how you guys brought this up. I was going through my hard drives because I'm getting into photography and drones and this and that, and I just did a wedding video for my cousin from my portfolio and stuff, and it's amazing how much information can be stored on these hard drives now with terabytes and all that stuff, backing up.
Right.
So I was going through my hard drives for the last 10 years, and I'm trying to put everything like in categories and stuff so I can know where everything's at,
Sure.
And I had all this music that I was like, I mean, cause my mom would tell me, she's like, Sean, you have all this music. Why don't you sell this music to movies and all this stuff? I'm like, well, I never really thought about. Well, I thought about it, but I'm so busy doing all these other things. But I thought about it last night, because I have all this music that I written like on my computer, and then I'm like thinking, I'm like, man, well, that's what burned me out, and that's why I don't want to sit here and program up until now,
right?
Because Rob, from Ryatt, he was like, Sean, I want us to do some, like some electronic or metal songs in the future. And I'm like, awesome, okay. I had 6 months off, and now, now I'm hungry now to program.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, the want is there.
Yeah.
And we got a bunch of other people have jumped in. Sean Zimmerman, Michael B.
Hey, Sean.
Carlos Figueroa.
Hey, Carlos. What's up? He's cool, too. All you guys are cool.
Charlie S. Michael Holder. He says he and his wife, Lisa, are tuning in from Harrisburg, North Carolina. They're friends of mine down there.
I love that.
Mark Dillon's here. Let's see here. Broken Chains asks, what are your thoughts on Vito Bratta as a player and just leaving the business?
He was the guy that was in White Lion, right?
I believe. I was going to say Winger, I thought. Oh, no, that's Red Beach. Vito Bratta, yeah, I think White Lion.
I think White Lion. That was a super clean band, super clean guitar player. I remember him. What did he do? What's going on with him?
According to Broken Chains, he's left the business.
He's not. Is he like a John Levin? that's a joke, right? John Levin is a lawyer. He's a really good friend of mine, and he plays guitar for Dawkins.
Okay. Yes. Caleb did an interview with him not too long ago.
Yes, and that's cool to see someone just. I mean, he didn't really stop playing guitar to do the whole lawyer thing, but that's some serious stuff. Being a lawyer, I mean,
Broken Chains does say White Lion.
Okay. So what is he doing? I mean, like, we have to do some Googling here.
Yeah, Charlie S says he's not playing anymore.
I mean, he just cold turkey. Did he sell all his gear from? I mean,
that's inquiring minds want to know. And we have 7 over 8 in the chat. Good to see you, Jay. Part of the Johnny Beane crew.
Cool. Yeah, I have to look that up.
Citizen Kane says, Sean, what is your recording software of choice, and how do you typically write? Do you come up with a draw start with a guitar motive first? That's a very nice technical question.
Yeah. Lately, it's Pro Tools. I love Pro Tools. I got Pro Tools for the fact for Hour 11 because that band, when we did that last album, was all Pro Tools, of course, and I needed the backups so we could have the backups run for us live and some things. So I went ahead, I bought a MacBook Pro, and I sold one of my toys, one of my helicopters, the RC helicopters.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I sold one of those or a couple of those to get my MacBook, you know, and I got the Pro Tools, and I had to learn that quickly, and I got it down at the time, and I'm pretty happy with it. But I think Ableton is probably the fastest non-memory power, sucker as far as software goes. I wrote a whole album with that for Hour 11 for the Pro Tools album, and as far as the way how I write with it, I think I would just come up with stuff like I would do like a drum pattern, and then I would play my guitar with it, and I would get inspired that way. And then I had this rule of writing. I don't know. It was like my rule as far as the way how I write. But I would do like an intro, which is the chorus, then the verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, and verse, and end with the chorus or something like that. So I had everything mapped out, like a template. Like your Pro Tools, I would have like a certain type of template to where I would use that and have everything marked on a timeline, and then I would just write like in that little field, that little area where it go anywhere from 2.5 minutes or almost 3 minutes to 4 minutes. I couldn't go past 5 minutes because that was just the rule. With those bands, I couldn't write past like 5 minutes. So
gotcha.
Yeah. So,
hey, we got Dave Nesdall in the house.
Hey Dave, what's up? What's up, buddy?
Broken Jane says, shame, I was hoping Sean might have known Vito from back in the day.
I've probably seen him play at like in North Hollywood,
Sure.
For sure. A matter of fact, now that I think about it, I know I've seen the White Lion, flyers. They all those bands with plaster, with flyers all over through North Hollywood.
Right.
Or Hollywood, not North, but down by the Strip.
Very cool.
I hope I answered his question on that.
Think so. And somebody was asking if they had seen a Dean behind you.
Oh yeah, that's the latest. I have to plug that in because
I'm going to present again here. Ooh, look at that.
EMGs. I'm back to EMGs again. So
I don't judge. I have VMGs in a telly, so
cool. Cool. So yeah, I wanted to play Dean. I've been wanting to play Dean for a long time. I wasn't really like a Pantera fan. I mean, back in the day, I wasn't really like into Pantera. But I remember seeing this part of it, with Dimebag playing it.
Right.
And I thought it was different, because I was used to the George Lynch, like reverse headstock thing,
Sure.
So anyways, I mean, going to NAMM and, you're hanging out with those guys, I ran into Chris Canella. Chris is he's a really good friend of mine. He's really helped me out, through the years with EVH when he used to work, for EVH, which that's what I'm playing through right now. Like 50 watt, I had the 100. And when I saw him at the last NAMM, I go, you know what? I need to change. I need to play something that's more extreme. And he goes, just let me know what you want to do, man. I'm here for you.
Nice.
So yeah, so I talked to the guys in the band, and they were like, dude, just play what you want, you know. And I've been playing this guitar here, it's a Midas guy here.
God, I love those.
Yeah, this is like, if you want to get it like a zoom on that one.
Yeah, let's see. Let's present that again here. There we go. As I recall, I think Steve Stevens has a few of those.
Yeah, Steve
And,
Stevens.
but he's playing with Guns N' Roses as well. Not Slash.
What's that guy?
Mike.
Can't remember his name.
Not terrible.
Me too, man.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And it was funny because, and I can't remember his name, and I had a dislike for the guy because I was a huge Izzy Stradlin fan. And when I heard that Guns N' Roses reformed, everyone's like, "Oh, it's the original lineup." I'm like, "I'm not going. Izzy's not there. I don't care." Sure. And Steven Adler wasn't there as well, but I was like, I'm not a drummer, but Izzy's not there. Izzy inspired me to play. Because growing up as the son of a sideman, I thought Izzy Stradlin was the best sideman in the world.
Yeah.
And and I love his solo work. And then I sat down and I watched the rig rundown for Guns N' Roses. And I'm looking at this guy, and this guy is the nicest guy in the world, and he plays amazing licks, great tone. And I was like, I can't hate this guy for replacing Izzy. The guy's just awesome.
Yeah. That guy was doing like a bunch of other stuff.
Richard Fortis. Is that his name?
Okay.
Thanks.
That sounds familiar. But he's like, he fit right in there perfectly.
Yeah.
I wish I could see Izzy playing it, but that's like another era that I missed as well.
That's my guilty pleasure is a lot of Izzy Stradlin's solo work. He's got Rick Richards from Georgia Satellites as his lead player, and they just do old school, rhythm, rockabilly, blues, a lot of open G stuff, and that's my wheelhouse. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I love that sound, that open G thing. I'm starting to do that like more often with Ryatt, because I love the way how that G sounds when it's ringing through our stuff.
It just resonates.
It resonates, yeah, nicely. So yeah, that's cool that you pointed that out. Like that.
Hey, glad I could help.
But yeah, on the Deane, it plays amazing. That's a badass guitar. It's like playing a Les Paul on a V.
Okay.
To me. Yeah.
Nice.
GG&G, so I'll be playing that like on 3 or 4 songs in the set for Ryatt, and then I'll go to Midas until I can get a Floyd Rose version of that V.
Right. Matt Sorum would be the drummer. Michael Smith. Jason Wade says, speaking of extreme, Sean's thoughts on Nuno in his playing.
Nuno Bencourt, he's the most, even back in the day when they came out with More Than Words, he was like, for him to play, that acoustic guitar, on that particular song, it's pretty impressive in the way how he sings with playing it like that along with Gary Stone. Pretty awesome. And with his shredding, he's awesome.
Yeah.
He's a guitar player. Definitely underrated.
Yeah. I always thought he was one of the few guys that could shred, but you could still hear every note. He makes every note count.
So important.
Dave Nesdal asks, Sean, do you still have any Wolfgangs?
No, I don't have any more. It's kind of sad, but it has like a happy ending. I lost those 2 guitars. Actually, the last one was I gave it away to Gerd Metzger, and because it's a long story. Because, well, just real quick, the singer had this one Sunburst Wolfgang. Apparently, it got stolen. I felt bad about it gets stolen, and just to make things right, for me, because Gerd is a really good friend of mine, and Gert has done so much for the band with Hour 11. I decided to give him my prize Wolfgang, on which was number 60 something. Can't remember.
Wow.
Yeah, and anyways, that's like a I know this
sore, but a good sore.
Yeah, totally, but I have some good stuff coming up. I'm planning on buying one soon, hopefully next year sometime.
Cool.
Stealth. Yeah, because that's what I've always wanted, was a stealth thing.
I also hear you have a vintage Jackson Rhodes V kicking around too, do you not?
Yes, that's Michael's vintage, which he sent it to me, and I'm gonna be playing that one at for the Iron Wrath thing. If you have a minute, can I grab it just to show?
Sure,
okay.
Please.
Be right back.
Yes, it's a great time here, gang. Keep those questions coming in. These are some great conversation topics and such. I was chatting with Michael Smith here before we went live, and he says, well, I assume you have a ton of questions. I was like, no. I've been taking it very easy today after last night's gig. So as you can hear, probably my voice is still not quite back to normal. And I still have a lot of ringing in this here because was near the crash cymbal last night. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
You're back. Headphones. That's okay. I was just talking with the fine folks in the chat.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, just talking with the guys in the chat there. I was saying, Michael Smith and I were chatting offline before we got together, and he's like, oh, I'm sure you got a ton of questions. Like, dude, I've done nothing today. I played 3.5 sets last night. My voice is shot. I'm just like in recovery mode.
It's time to take a break. I totally,
yeah.
Totally with you on that. Okay, here's the rose that Mike sent me to use for the Iron Wrath. With the Kaler on it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. This thing is so awesome. I mean, I was shredding on it. I mean, I leave this one in the case because it's just one of those type of guitars. Of course, it's precious, so I keep that in the case. If I'm not playing it, I mean, here's the rack of guitars I play.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I want to play it, then I'll put it over there. But it's all ready to go for me to record.
Beautiful.
But yeah, it's I was trying to find the paperwork on it, but it's number 924.
Wow.
So
I've heard of the guitar. Mike's come on the channel a few times, hang out, and he's mentioning Sean's has it. Bubble, I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he sent it to me. I mean, I love Mike and Glory. They came out, for NAMM, last year, or like the last NAMM, and I spent my majority of the time with them, and it was so cool for us to spend time like that, and for him to send this guitar to me, like it was maybe about 9 months or probably a year. I'm not sure. I have to ask Mike that when he sent it before the last NAMM show, but he trusted me like that, for him to send something like that, like this, to me.
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and
yeah, Mike's a super cool guy.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to meeting him in person at NAMM, which actually that whole thing, you jumped into a chat on one of Johnny's shows. And somebody mentioned that I was going to NAMM, and you would come because I was watching the replay the next day. And you went, "Oh, cool, Ben, you're coming to NAMM," and I'm like, "All right, Sean knows who I am in this world, okay?" And I'm like, "Hey, man, you want to do a hangout?"
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to meeting. I don't know, like 20, 30 people that I've met through YouTube. Everyone descending on NAMM. I'm going to be staying at JJ's House of Jams. Jaden James there. He's putting myself and my co-host from our weekly show up for a week. Yeah. And hopefully, we'll get to meet up there as well. That'd be awesome.
For sure. There's so much to do there. I mean, after they close the NAMM thing, we have so many things to do, and I probably should get like a place to stay out there, because I mean, I'm like about 45 minutes, from that place, but but the traffic is pretty crazy. So
Right.
I I would rather just get a place to stay, which I have friends out there. I could probably stay with friends out there, but like I want to be close to you guys, and then after NAMM we could hang out and go to clubs and stuff and talk and chill, and then
Yeah, exactly.
rest and then go back to show.
Like JJ's like, when are you coming in? Like NAMM's big, you want to see everything. I'm like, dude, I'm coming in Wednesday and like leaving Monday or Tuesday.
Cool. And hopefully you guys could go to Fender on their tour. They do Fender tours there. I mean, from like the last thing I've heard, check it out. Something
definitely that would be cool. Yeah, let's see. We also got Jimmy T and Hero Zero says not backwards. No, because I'm using Google Hangouts and I'm not using the mobile YouTube. That's been backwards for 2 months. Still waiting for them to fix that. Yeah, I swear, like the amount of subscribers I've gotten in the last 2 months probably think I'm a left-handed player because they always see me lefty when I'm playing on YouTube.
Yeah, that's. Hopefully they'll fix that soon.
Yeah, and then maybe they can let Facebook in on it and let them figure out how to not reverse either. I think Instagram is backwards too.
Yeah, it's like, I know. It's encoding. I mean, it's something that they need to change the coding in it a little bit.
Started going live on my channel. In the first 4 months, I wasn't reversed, and then YouTube did an update. And
oh, that's when it started?
Yeah, it used to be fine.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a simple line of code that knows when you're using this camera to reverse the image and when you're using the other camera not to. So, I don't know. I'm a guy that still prefers vacuum tubes over transistors, so what do I know, right?
Oh, man. That's funny.
That's why I get a kick out of when a lot of people are like, what computer setup do you use? I'm like, I'm a guitar player that happens to know how to log on to the inner Google. Yeah.
That's cool. Speaking of vacuum tubes, I remember the PV VTM 100, I think it was called.
Oh, yeah.
I love that amp. And I only use that amp for clean power. I was using my ADA preamp going into that thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Dave Nesdahl asked what effects you use.
My effects currently I'm using the TC Electronics, which we talked about that earlier. The G Major 2. We listen to like the Ryatt stuff. All of the spacious reverb is coming from that. And I would say the chorus, the flanger, the pitch shifter, the detuner thing. Pretty much all my effects are coming out of that, except like on a couple songs, like for the new album that's coming out. I'm using a carbon copy, the MXR on carbon copy. What else? I have the Serial Phaser,
Nice.
which is a DoD, and I have the Maxon, Overdrive, and the Crybaby.
Cool.
That's pretty much, and I have the Sonic Maximizer for my bass and my treble, of course. You did with the bottom. And the cabinet is the Dr. Jekyll cabs, which I highly recommend. That, I mean, like I played through the Mesa Boogie's cabs for forever, and the Randalls, and I'm playing through 2x12s here. Actually, I have two 2x12s from him, from Steven, and they're rated at 400 watts each.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah, so my 50 watt EVH loves it.
Sure.
It's like you just open up the floodgates. I mean, people trip out on this setup, dude. It's
no doubt.
So yeah.
Well, you kind of answered Michael Smith's follow-up question. Could ask what guitar cabs you're using. So we did cover that. And I did see a Dr. Jekyll in the chat here. Keeps asking about accordions and you. So
Stephen Pierce? Stephen.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was legit or I'm like, I don't know if I should ask this, but
it
was a new name in the chat. You know, you got to be a little leery when you see a new name in the chat, but and he's asking about accordions. So I'm like, okay, sure.
No, that's cool. But yes, I did play the accordion from 8 till 14, 15.
Okay.
And it taught me a lot about notes and writing too. I mean, it plays a big part in writing, you know, structuring music. So it's funny how you guys brought that up, because when I went to NAMM for the last 3 years, I would always go past the accordion place booth just to look. Yep. And the guys, and the guys are like, "Why are we over here?" I'm like, "Guys, come on, really? You remember?" They're like, "Oh yeah, I remember you play accordion." So it's cool.
Sure. Yeah, R2R3 is back, and he was asking about the Dean. Rewind the video because he goes back and timestamps my videos on all the highlight stuff. Yeah, so a Stealth V with EMGs, and R2R3, one of his favorite guitars he owns is a custom shop Charvel that you built.
Oh, nice. Which one is it?
That's a good question. I remember it's a natural type finish.
Okay.
I assume it has a Floyd Rose because, well, the man's name is R2R3 Locking Nut, and why would he play anything else? Maybe, yeah, R2, if you could type that in. I can't remember the exact spec. It's a beautiful guitar.
Yeah, that's a Red Dave model for sure. And I love working. That's one of the guys I miss, working with is Red Dave and Mike Shannon. And there's almost 900 people that were there at that factory, but those guys.
Yeah, he kept the hang tag just for that reason. He's like, look, and he was on one of the first hangouts we did together. He's part of I do a monthly roundtable, and nice. He comes on for that, and he showed me the hang tag. He goes, look, Sean. I'm like, that's awesome.
That's a blessing. Thank you. So what's his name again?
R2R3 Locking Nut. He's out of the Chicago area.
That's awesome. I love his name.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and his first name technically is Al, and he's like, you can call me Al, and I'm like, I've known you as R2R3 Locking Nut since I've been involved in YouTube, so I just call him as R2 as his first name to me. So
that's cool. That's cool.
And Dave Nestle says Sean built my Wolfgang too.
Yes, thank you, Dave. Yeah, like the Wolfgang. I mean, Dave has a really nice collection.
Yes.
By the way, if I ever, well, not if, but when the band goes out to New York, out in that area, we plan on coming by his house.
Nice.
Tell him that he probably already knows that, but I would love for us to come by his house and I'd love to see his collection.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of great stuff. And let's see, Dr. Jekyll says, "Oh well, thanks, Michael. I guess he thought I was pulling his chain." Yes, I did.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Let's see. Here we go. It's a Charvel Music Zoo Natural 2007.
Yeah. All of the Music Zoo stuff that comes through those guys really hooks up the Charvel custom stuff really nicely. So he has a really nice drum.
And Nesdal follows up with the door is always open, Sean, and to me as well. And I appreciate that, Dave.
Thank you
very much. I got to get down there at some point. It's about I worked out 8.5 hour drive down to his place from here.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Yeah, because I'm about 100 miles east of Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I would love to visit your town and your country. It's
beautiful.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
I may be coming up there pretty soon because my cousin that's helping me with my business. He's like a partner. He's helping me get this going. He wants me to go and get some footage and stuff, and that's going to be one of the places I would love to go and get footage with my drone and with my Canon 77D.
Sure. Nice. Very nice. Let's see here. Dr. Jekyll says, since Charles is going to Germany, will you still be playing at Idlewood?
Yes, actually, that show didn't get canceled. That show, what day is that show on? I think it's not this weekend. It's the following weekend. And the show that got canceled, which was the House of Metal in Santa Ana. That's the day, which is the 8th. That's the day that Charles is flying out, or the day before, something like that. Something.
Awesome. And I will say, I'd love to check out those Jekyll cabs too. I have heard about them, and they're nice. They're very nice.
Yeah, on the tour, this white cabinet, it did like a double duty thing because the band that we were touring with, he didn't bring his stuff, his Marshall cab, because of space limitations. And he asked if we could play through my cabinet. I'm like, heck yeah, that's cool. You could check it out. This is good for you to check it out and get one in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So he played through it and he loved it, and he's looking getting one as well.
Nice. And I saw my friend Scott Nickerson in the chat earlier. I'm going to quickly say, since we still have 22 crazy people watching, we have a contest going on where you can win an MXR Super Badass Distortion, courtesy of Scott Nickerson, donating to the cause. To enter, all you have to do is share any video on this YouTube channel on social media. Tag me, probably if you're going to do it on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. My handle is dbencoombs. Tag me in the share, and I will, in fact, enter you in the contest, and we'll be drawing a winner on our big Thursday night show on Thursday, September 6th.
Cool.
And wow, my voice just finally started coming back. I just realized it just rose up a note or two.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I overdo it sometimes. And I don't even sing lead. I just sing backups. But, certain times when you get into it, right, you just scream out a line. You're like, oops, that hurt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You feel it back there, like, uh-oh, I'm going to feel that later.
Yep. Cool. See, Idlewood, they're having a benefit show for the fire victims. It's above Palm Desert. Oh, good to know.
Yes. It's, as you know,
yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I didn't even know it was. I mean, I saw the last fire after the wedding, and I'm driving. I think I was driving home or something like that, and no, it was like the next day, and I saw this puff of. It was like this huge, like atomic bomb went off. It was this white smoke that funneled up into like the stratosphere of the layer,
Right.
And I'm like, what the heck's going on over there, And then sure enough, for some friends of mine that live close in that area, they were like saying it's like bad,
Right.
And that was last Sunday, and it was like a volcano, like went off.
Sure. Yeah, we get it across Canada as well.
Really?
And actually up where Terry is, he's a couple hours north of Toronto. There's a couple bad fires going on up there too. So and I will say the firefighting community, when they're flying in guys from literally around the world, like guys were coming over from like Australia, New Zealand to help battle these blazes. That's awesome. That's so awesome.
It's such an honor to play for these guys, and I look forward to meeting them and get pictures with them and thanking them for their service for what they do, because that's so dangerous. That's what they live for is danger with fire. It's awesome.
Even Mike Smith saying the smoke from the fires are creating a haze here in Colorado. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Dave Nelsell asks what picks and strings you use.
Picks, I am. Oh my gosh, I'm like all over the place with picks right now. I was using on Clayton picks. I've been using Clayton picks forever, ever since I saw Steve Vai, and he threw one at me and I caught it. Just, epic, catching it in midair. Being a kid, 17 years old, and then I was hooked forever, and then I got endorsement, from them. Through Ryatt. I mean, it was Hour 11 that got me that endorsement, which I still kind of am. I haven't really updated anything with them, but I love their picks. I never had a problem when I was playing and the picks were flying. I just recently started using these picks and I keep on losing them and they're so expensive. But it's the cheese ones.
Okay.
They look like cheese, with the
cheese grater.
Yeah, I love those. Those are awesome. So I need to go invest in those for the next tour so I can have those. But I took some Dunlops with me on number 72.72, I think they were. And those held up pretty good.
Nice.
Strings. I was endorsed by String Joy strings. I mean, I probably still am. I need to follow up with them because ever since I got, with Ryatt, I kind of lost some of my endorsements, because I wasn't, I was like in that whole transition. I mean, it's not like they kicked me out or anything, or I don't know, as far as I know, but I need to contact them because I love their strings. Their strings are expensive, but I used those strings when I recorded the last Hour 11 disc, and I was so happy with the attack I was getting from that. For the Ryatt thing, I used on Dunlop strings, and those strings are pretty cool too.
Nice.
On Dragon Skin.
Okay. Nice. I haven't tried Dunlop strings before. Check into them.
Or is it on DRs? I'm getting confused. It's all good. I need to get back up on that because I tell you, taking a break from all this stuff,
And we're not at the point where I don't know. Ask my tech. He's the one that puts them on.
I would love to have a tech. I mean, sometime soon, so I could,
I'd love to have a tech just so I wouldn't have to do load in and load out.
Oh, that's it, dude.
Especially when you got the PA too. So.
Yeah, because you set up everything, huh? You pretty much.
We do. Yeah, we're DIY.
I hope you have one of those.
No.
Things. No.
No.
Yeah.
No, I just keep the mains down to 12-inch speakers with horns. We use another pair of them for monitors, so nothing too big. No powered subs. Okay. The only thing going to the PA is the vocals, anyways, because we. Speaking of which, some people asked me about that. I downloaded a decibel meter. Our stage volume last night was 113 decibels. So, which was just under a power mower, apparently. So it wasn't too bad until I wish I had it up there for the end because the drummer got a little crazy with the crash, which was on my right side. My ear is still ringing like crazy. And I have bad tinnitus to begin with, so it just set it off.
Oh, man, dude. That's crazy. On CG, which is Chris, which was the drummer for Holy Rite and for Iron Wrath. He's a pretty well-known percussionist now, and he just got into film stuff like that. But yeah, when he was playing his Root, he had Rude cymbals all over the place.
Oh,
and I think that's what made him deaf, somewhat, because he blames me for my for my stacks being all next to him, but I think it was those weird cymbals.
Yeah,
I
play with loud amps at home, and my ears don't ring half as bad as a single crash. I swear.
And Charles, the drummer from Ryatt, he's like, check your earplugs. I'm about to hit the drums. And he is so cool about that, And so he cares about our hearing,
That's nice.
Drummer.
And we got Showman Blues tuning in. Welcome, Showman. Good to see you, brother.
Cool.
Michael Smith says, ask Sean about his Born pots, which Michael was kind enough to send me one of those after talking with you first, I guess. He's like, well, let me talk to Sean first. I'm like, well, yeah, because you gave it to him and he didn't want to pass it along.
That's okay. I'll see him again and, I'll give him
Yeah, tell him about these pots. I'll say it's been bad. He sent it to me a while ago. I still yet to install it in a guitar because I haven't decided which one I want to install it in yet.
It's all good, man.
Plus, I found out that it's a 500K pot, so you got to put it in with a humbucker, and I play a lot of tellies, so
yes.
it's going to go into my Fibson Les Paul that I've been modifying. So
That's cool. I've been wanting to talk to Borns. I mean, Borns. I mean, that's a really crazy story. My mom used to work for Borns. Actually, she started to work for Borns from '73 to 2013, and she retired from them. But meanwhile, like before 2010, I didn't know that they made or they would do like stuff for NAMM, or they would do anything with music like that. I was so far out of the loop, and I mean, she wouldn't like tell me about how they would do stuff as far as parts for guitars, and they made stuff for consoles and things like that. So anyways, when I went to NAMM, I think it was 2011 or 2010, I met the main guy, which is Gordon Borns, and they were downstairs on the very bottom level, and they had a couple of Wolfgangs on display there, and they had the hang tags there. I'm like, oh, check this out. This was 2009.
right.
Okay, and I looked at the guitars, and I saw my signatures on the setup and all that, and I go, hi, I'm Sean Silas. You know my mom, China's. She worked for you guys. I mean, she's been an engineer there ever since the early '70s. He goes, oh, I know China's. That's your mom. I'm like, yeah. And so we hit it off because of my mom. They used to work there, and I go, yeah, I work at Fender, and I'm here because of Fender, because they gave me a badge, and checking out things. And he goes, oh, that's really cool. Can we take a picture? I'm with you holding the guitar that you built. And I'm like, absolutely, and so we took a picture, together. And he goes, I was thinking about having some artists like endorse our stuff. We don't have like an official like endorsement thing, but if you would like to come and do some demos for like the next year's NAMM, it's totally open if you'd like to. I'm like, yeah, of course. So that was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So I did 3 NAMMs after that, and then they changed some things within the company to where they wasn't able to attend like the 2015 NAMM, I think it was, or 14, something like that. I think it was that. But so I get a phone call because I was trying to get like like another endorsement thing, parts for my guitars, and Fender was using a lot of pots for for 80s guitars for the Wolfgangs and stuff. So I asked him, I go, I'm interested in maybe we could hook up, and if you guys could sponsor the band, because we were planning on doing a tour and stuff. And like,
Mm-hmm.
We were actually thinking about bringing some artists in as endorsement artists. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, and we'll have them have their own specs for their pots, and then we'll put you in the guitar, a Premier guitar, or Premier, yeah, I think it's Premier, and we'll get you to NAMM, and then we'll push it, we'll advertise it and everything. I'm like, wow, yeah, I'm totally down for that. So that's how I got onto that. It was that whole stream of me doing some demos for them, and how they knew my mom, and they knew I worked at Fender and band stuff, and so like the rest is history. I was supposed to be getting like a tone version of the SOTL pods, and now that I'm playing the EMGs, I need to get the 25K pots made as well, which I haven't
Right.
done that. But
Well, there's a question for you. Since it's a 500K pot, would it be able to go into my Kramer that has a humbucker and 2 single coils?
I mean, I would try it. I mean, because you already have a humbucker there. I mean, I don't think it would be a problem, even with the single coils. You know, I think I think the Telecasters and the Strats, there was something going on. I mean, some guys would use the 500Ks with with the Fender, Teles and Strats because it sounds a certain way. It all depends on what sounds right with your ears, personally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, you could try it and see, or you could put like a cap on it. I think a cap would probably help too.
Okay.
I could do some research for you on that. I know a bunch of guys that could tell me, like I could talk to Borns and they'll tell me, what the heck.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, we got Mark from Tone Talk in.
Hey, Mark. What's up? Mark is an awesome guy.
Jason Stovall. Yeah, we had Mark on 2 weeks ago, I think it was. 2 Sundays ago.
I missed
and
it.
Dave just said I could use the 500K with the Kramer. Well, Dave was going to be my other go-to because I remember I asked Dave about putting it in my telly, and he was like, "Don't do it, dude. Don't put a 500K pot in your telly."
Yeah, just keep it as is, 250, and
yeah.
Hopefully they'll have the 250s soon. I mean,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say with the 250, I asked for a push pull, 250. So you can split coil your pickups
right
from your tone pot, and right when I asked for that, they were all it was going to be a go, and then that's when they moved all of the tooling down to Mexico, so that got put up on the back burner.
Okay.
So that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, I have one of those push-pull tone pots in my dual humbucker telly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're like 15K output humbuckers, and then it'll take it down to about 7K for the singles.
Cool.
Very nice. And I just want to say we got quite a few new people in tonight. That's awesome. If you like what you're seeing and hearing, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We like all that stuff. Spread the word. Yes, and Tone Talk, actually, I'm going to give him a quick shout-out. This coming Tuesday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, he has the captain, Lee Andersen, coming on, and that should be really interesting.
Yes, I missed so many shows from Mike. I've been wanting to get on there, and the whole timing thing is crazy. I need to put like a reminder on my phone for his show because I missed so many cool things from his show as well. You guys have a really good thing going on here.
Hey, I'm just happy. I started this channel mid-January, and we've grown to just under 400 subscribers in 6 months. And the fact that people like yourself are willing to come on, like, I'm not Mark with Tone Talk. I'm not the Tone King or Phil McKnight or a major YouTube. I'm just a guy that hung out in the chats and wanted a place to hang out when the other guys weren't on.
Yeah, it's a passion for it. You got a passion. All you guys. That's how you guys all work well together with your shows. It's you have all these like levels of you guys shows, but you guys are all doing the same thing.
Exactly. And I remember like I say I have a co-host on our main show on Thursday nights, and he doesn't watch live streams at all. He uses YouTube as a tool to find out information on gear. So he watches gear demos. That's about it. And then he's like, well, what is a live Q&A thing? And I said, well, you know how we sit around and shoot the breeze about gear for about 3 or 4 hours till your girlfriend gets ticked? He's like, yeah. I'm like, we do that, except there's going to be some people watching asking us questions too. He's like, oh. And he did his first live stream, and he's like, that was awesome. I was like, yeah, it's kind of fun, buddy.
That's cool, man. It's fun. I watch a lot, actually, on my drones because I'm getting my certification so I could get paid to fly my drone. And in the U.S., you have to take a test with FAA. So there's these guys out there that are just like you guys that bring out the information live, and you can type your questions in, and it works awesome. I mean, I'm ready to take my test. I've been ready. I just
Yeah, I love the fact, it's funny because sometimes you'll see a question and it's like, you could just Google that. But then other times, and it only has to be a little bit more technical, but then you're like, yeah, and you would have had to sort through 50 web pages to find an answer. Whereas if the person you're watching, if you consider them knowledgeable, like for me, it was Johnny Beane and Dave Nesdall. When I asked him a question and he told me the answer, I took it as the God's honest truth because I know he knows his stuff.
Yep.
And so, yeah, and I didn't have to sort through those 50 websites. It was a simple, boom, in 30 seconds, I got an answer.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Mark was just saying that you're a touch hard to hear, so I'm just going to raise your volume slightly.
Oh, okay. And I probably moved back a little bit because I want to hit Mike's cool V because I'm holding it.
Cradling it.
Oh, cradling like an ex-girlfriend. I hate to say that.
There we go. Moved up the volume a bit, so
check.
Be good on that. And you're more than welcome, Mark, for the mention. You do a great show. I enjoy it. I learn a lot every time. And those guys have always been good. Considering the amount of people that watch, they keep an eye on the chat. And I've had questions answered that, like when I can ask Grover Jackson a question, and he'll answer it. I was just like, wow, that's pretty trippy. Yeah.
Yeah, Grover is cool.
Yeah.
I was going to go see Charlie play, and I ran into Grover. It was like in a weird spot of the convention, and I go, Grover, and he goes, Sean. I'm like, oh, you recognize me because he knows everybody, and he's so busy, and but we of course, because I know Mike Shannon, and he's been to the factory, and I like a long time ago I think it was, and I go, you've gave Mike props on his, because he was on Mike's show, and I watched it, and I was like, he was talking about Mike Shannon, and I was like, man, that's so awesome for him to bring up Mike, and they all came from that era, where these builders that was these guys that were in his shop, and these unknown guitar players wanted these guitars built for them.
Yeah. True craftsmen.
Yeah.
I think it would be it's way easier today to say start a guitar company, in that as long as you have the money, you can go overseas, you can have an existing factory, build you something, basically just change the headstock to your liking, and there you go, you have a new guitar line.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's cool. It's very cool.
Let's see. Citizen King was asking, hey, Mark, you were recently a guest on someone else's show. And he says, nope, just my show. Okay, well, there we are. So it was here, Citizen King. Go back a couple of weeks. I believe the thumbnail has Mark on it, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. I always try to use the thumbnail of the guest. That way they know. Oh, yeah, there's the one with Sean. Okay, perfect.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. You guys have any other questions out there? How are you on time? I was thinking of going another 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, 10 minutes is good for me, and I got to get back to the. Actually, I played enough guitar today. I think I need to get into my YouTube videos on like my graphics and stuff.
I hear you. I picked up enough guitars today just to clean them off some more from last night and just put them on display. That was about it. Because I realized I put all my gear in storage because I'm gigging again on Friday night. So only my guitars are here. Pedal board, amp, PA system all went into storage. And then I was like, okay, I got to start rearranging because I usually have amps back here and more guitars and stuff. And, you got to have your set, as they said.
Of course.
But before we go, I did notice a Telecaster-shaped headstock behind you.
Oh, yeah. I can show you that one. That is my John 5. I have to tell you the story about that.
Nice.
So it's in a good spot. It being a Rhodes, it's kind of pointy. Okay. This guitar is the John 5 Kelly, and it's a Squire. It reminds me of the whole NAMM show thing when I was like, this is a Squire and it's a shredder. But back in the day, because I had a like a Squire and it wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
It was awful actually. But anyways, the way how what happened with this guitar and how I got it was a gift from Fender last year to help me out with Ryatt, which I still play it. And when I was I'm looking in doing something a little different because we have a song that didn't get to the cut. It got cut for the new album that's coming out in October 1st. And we call it the Country Jam. And I love country. People trip on me because I love Johnny Cash. I love the Telecaster sound. But me being a shredder, I didn't really have like a place for it from all the bands I've been in and all that stuff. So I remember I seen Pete Townsend play a Schecter, a black Schecter, and it was a Telecaster. But anyways, when I seen John 5 play his Telecasters, I wanted one badly. I was like, all right, I got to get one. So when I was working at Fender, one of the main guys really liked the band, and he was like, if you need anything to help out, for us to help out, like we're there for you guys. I'm like, I'm really into that John 5, and I'll pay for it. That's what I want. And he goes, don't worry about that. Just let me know. Which one do you want? I'm like, all right, cool, thank you. From all those years of me building guitars and struggling for 12-hour days, it really, you know what I'm saying? It helped. So anyways, I went to the website and I didn't know that John 5 had two different versions. He had like the Squire version, and he has his version, which is like the artist version. Okay, and I just randomly picked because I saw the gold and I saw it was a John 5. I didn't look at Squire. I was like, I want that one right there. So
sure.
So yeah. So I told him, I go, that's the one, and then he goes, all right. So they ordered it. I got it. I had them ship it to my mom's house because I don't like it coming to my apartment. I have great neighbors and stuff, but I just don't want on UPS just leave it out.
Right. Yeah.
So it went to my mom's, and I get a call, and she's like, Sean, you have a guitar here. And I go, oh, okay. So I go home, and I go to my mom's, and I see the case, and it wasn't like a typical square case. It was in a case that was shaped like a guitar case, like a octagon. I don't know what shape that's called.
Okay.
Like the guitar wasn't in a case, kind of a boxy.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, because usually when you get a high-end guitar, or if you buy a guitar and it's being shipped, it usually comes in a case, right? So when I saw that, I'm like, uh-oh, and I'm like, all right, don't worry about it, and I'm grateful for whatever it is. I opened up the case, the box, and it was this guitar, and then that's when I saw the Squire on it.
Right.
It's a Squire, and I'm looking at it, and my mom's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Mom, it's a Squire."
Yeah.
And she's like, "But it's beautiful." I go, "Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's amazing, and it plays amazing." I was just noodling with it. I'm like, this thing plays awesome. I was just blown away, and then I'm like, all right, well, okay, I'll just do like a mild setup on it because it played pretty good already out of the box, and I told myself I was gonna change out the pickups, even though the John 5 pickups are really, really good. But I heard through on YouTube to the guys that play, they were saying that the pickups are microphonic. and maybe these are. I mean, well, not these here, but the ones that were in it, because it's on a Squire,
Right.
and with his versions, I'm sure he has Seymour Duncan's or his his wiring,
Right.
not squealing, because being in Rob Zombie, you can't have no squealing going on in that bed.
No.
So
no, he already has the most exact noise gate ever.
Yeah. So so I went ahead and I switched out the pickups. I went with the SH2, for the neck.
Okay.
And before this pickup, I had the EVH, the 78.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah. Or this one and this is the Wolfgang, the EVH Wolfgang I put in here. Put this one. So I liked the 78. It was cool. It still had, I don't know if there was something wrong with it because it was cracked. I don't know if I dropped it somewhere and just had a crack right there, because I took it to practice and I was doing a lot of chugging and stopping and going, stopping and going, stopping and going, and it was squealing. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with that pickup because it shouldn't be doing that. It sounded killer, and I recorded it at here. I checked it here, but I wasn't playing it at stage or at rehearsal volume.
Right.
So I'm like, well, that's not going to work. And I have the noise reduction, the Pro Rack.
Right.
So that thing is a monster with noise gate. And it was having a hard time. I could see the light, doing this, trying to stop the squealing.
Yeah, it's going, I'm trying to help you, brother, but
yeah.
I can only do so much.
Yeah. So I went ahead and I got the Wolfgang pickup because I love the sound of the Wolfgang pickup, and I put that in here and I played this on this guitar live, and it's amazing. I put it up there with all my other ones.
Oh yeah. My buddies thought I was a little crazy when I bought my dual humbucker telly because 15K output, which is now considered the right on the edge of high output. But we're coming from where if you had anything over 7.5K, you have an 8K. Well, that's a hot pickup. 8K. And now it's like 6 months. Well, I've had that for about a year and a half. And that was my main gigging guitar. And then I just recently put some FU-tone pickups in a BC Rich Mockingbird. And those things are phenomenal. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
BC Rich, too. That's badass.
I will say thank you again, Adam Reaver, if you happen to be watching this. He was kind enough to send me those pickups. So
that's cool. I need to get some stuff from Adam. I need to hook up. Because Adam hooked me up with some FU-tone parts for my Floyd stuff with the Wolfgangs, and I took all that stuff out, and I put the originals back on those guitars because Gerd helped get those parts for me for those particular guitars, so I didn't want my parts to go away with, even though that guitar with the Gerd, I still wanted those parts to go on my guitars, but they're like on standby, but I need to get some stuff from Adam for my hardtails and things like that.
Sure. All right. Well, we'll do one more question here.
Okay.
This will be it won't be a quick one probably. Absolute Mayhem. Final question of the night. This is a question for Sean. For the uneducated, can Sean tell us what he did at Fender?
What I did at Fender?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, I did. When I first got hired there, I was hired as a setup guy for Jackson and for Charvel, and then that's when Fender just bought out Jackson and Charvel. They were the only two, as far as the shredding guitar, the metal guitar, that they had there. They had Gretsch and they had some other brands there, but when I went there to work there part-time, that spot opened, which I didn't know I didn't know that they bought out Jackson until I got there for the job interview, and I see these Jacksons there. I'm like, I thought Jackson was in Texas or in Ontario or somewhere else. I didn't know they're right here, and I'm like, are these like imports or no, these are the USA. And then I smiled so big inside of me because I waited for 15 or 20 years to work at Fender or to work for Jackson,
Right.
So anyways, I started out as a setup guy, and then I met Chip Ellis, Mike Shannon, Red Dave, Greg Burnett, which Greg and Chip were the first two guys that trained me as a setup guy, and then as far as building goes, Mike temporarily took me like under his wing to learn certain things because I was building and setting up some of his guitars before Joe Williams got in there, and Scott. I haven't talked to Scott in a long time, but so I was a setup guy, and then after that, then they were like, well, you need to learn how to do frets. So they would send me down to the dungeon, which was literally, it was in the corner of the factory, deep down in the factory, and then Greg taught me how to do frets, and I did that. I would do like a double duty. I would do frets in the morning, and then I would go upstairs, and then I would do 6 or 7 setups. So that went up for a while. That went for about 9 years of that, and then or something like that. And then when they started to cut back, they started to let people go because we were like a big crew, and then that crew started to get smaller, and then they had me and Rob Knowles, which he's still there and he's doing everything himself as far as I know. Then he started doing everything. I mean, he had his station, I had my station, and then we started doing the EVHs, and then the really custom guitars, Jacksons, and Charvels, the crazy wiring, and then we got the Guttrie's, and then we got the J Healy's, and then we got the Warren D Martinis, and then it was just a whole collage of things. And then they changed the name from our department to the specialty department, instead of being Jackson or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, so I learned how to do first was setups, frets, prep, a little bit of buffing and repairing, and wiring, and figuring it out and getting on the internet and figuring out what these guys wanted. And then when like my last week there, that was my skill set, was all of those things.
Right. So the question is, how much satisfaction is it? Like, it's one thing to set up, like say I order a custom shop Jackson, you build it, you set it up, you send it out the door, as opposed to, and you're going to have that feeling of satisfaction. You play it, you're like, oh, this is a nice guitar. He's going to be so happy. But when Warren D Martini's like, dude, you nailed it, and you're just like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. It's it's a blessing. It's an honor to work for those guys, for Chip, for Mike, for Dave, and to learn those, and Greg, to learn those skills, and then to take those skills and to share it on with you guys, and for you guys to have those guitars, hopefully, forever, or if you sell them and then another guy gets it, it's that mojo that carries on and on and on, because I truly, believe in that as far as mojo goes. When I would pick up the guitar and I feel it, I mean, it's like a spiritual feeling too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if it's something going on with the wood where it was cut or whatever's going on. There's just something about that guitar. And I'm like, whoever is getting this guitar, I'm so happy that they're getting this guitar.
I agree. There's certain guitars, like literally you can be pulling it off a rack in a store and just holding the neck, and you haven't even done anything, and it already feels mojo. And I'm thinking, all I'm doing is holding the neck, and not even in a way where you can really feel the neck, because you're holding it with your right hand, and then you just put it in your lap, and you're like, It's the balance, it's the weight, it's everything. You're like, man, if this thing resonates, it's sold.
Yeah, and to go along with that, just real quick, because I know that we're running out of time. John Levin, he invited me, which is on the guitar from Dawkins, the guitarist. He invited me to his house. He goes, I'll set up some of his guitars before he would go on tour, and he would go in the back and he would bring all these guitars, like the Gibson Black Beauties, Strats, and his Charvels, and all these guitars, and then we would sit there just like how we're talking. And we were like, so what do you think about this? Do you feel anything different about this guitar? I'm like, yeah, I do. And then he'll plug it in, and then I'll shred on it, and then he'll take it and he'll shred on it, and then we'll go back and forth. I'm like, there's something about that guitar.
Yep.
And then he goes, okay, now after like 2 hours of that, then he would take me to a pawn shop in Santa Monica. Then he would take me to this store, and we would do the same thing there with these Les Pauls, because he like invests in Les Pauls and stuff.
Right.
And it's just, when you play guitar or any type of instrument, there's something about it when someone touches it and where it's being built and how it's made, and even with the paint, it's just something.
I agree.
Weird.
I fully agree. It's the complete package.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank Arvin and Lando for tuning in. Watch the replay, guys. This has been an awesome hangout. I want to thank each and every one of you in the chat for tuning in, and those who were not active in the chat but still watching. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you're watching this on replay and you're new, please subscribe down here. There should be another video coming up over here. Leave a thumbs up. Doesn't cost you a thing. If you just hold the line, Sean, and I just want to say, hey, Mike, thank you very much. As I always say, hold those doors open for others, folks. Let that guy in ahead of you in traffic. Karma is a real thing. I experienced it last night firsthand at my gig. I ran into some problems, and karma bailed me out. There's no other exclamation or explanation. So do good things. Good things will happen to you. And everyone have a great night. I will be back live again tomorrow at some point doing my Veda vlog every day in August. So I hope to see each and every one of you there. Again, if you're new, please subscribe. And have yourselves a great night, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.